My name is Wasim Karam. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the National Youth Development Agency. The NYDA Solomon Mahlangu Scholarship Fund was initially established in 2014 as a program of the second board of directors led by Mr. Yoshin Pillay. The fund was conceptualized as a program of the Department of Higher Education and Training through the National Skills Fund, working together with the National Youth Development Agency. And it was really designed as a response to developing the skills, the competencies, and the education of young people in South Africa. It was envisaged that it could one day become one of the largest scholarship funds, not only in South Africa, but on the African continent.
When Mamelodi West, at the home of Solomon Kalushi Mahlangu, a struggle icon, and Umkhonto wesizwe combatant who paid the ultimate price with his life so that you and I can enjoy the fruit of freedom. I'm Zianda Ngobo, and today we'll be telling the story of one of the greatest freedom fighters to have ever lived in our lifetime.
Indaba ye-scholarship iyasijabulisa dadewethu ngani ngoba wayekade angazenzeli yena uSoli. It was not about the personal gain. Kwakukusebenzela umphakathi wase-South Africa. So uma kuhlomula izingane zala ekhaya, nathi kuyasijabulisa lokho ukuthi izingane zingahlali zisemnyameni, zithole lelo ncedo abelungu akade bazinika ingane zabo.
Uzizwa kanjani njengoba i-NYDA simkhumbula likhethe ukuqhakambisa igama lakhe and by extension liqhakambise igama lakwaMahlangu?
Yasithokozisa lokho ngani ngoba kukhomba ukuthi kusekhona abantu abayibonayo indima uSoli ayidlala ukulwela lenkululeko. Kusekhona abantu abasafuna ukuyichubekela phambili ilegacy yakaSoli.
So Solomon Mahlangu's legacy to me as an individual means to be of service, to be, someone of sacrifice, but also ultimately to be of impact. My name is Timbale Tishange. I am a graduate of the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and I'm also currently the founder and executive director of Integrate Legal Group.
I decided to go with civil engineering because I think from nature I'm one person who likes to see things go from ground to implementation. My name is Kifilwe Matebe Ditebe, and I'm a qualified civil engineer who is currently working as a quality assurance technician.
My name is Mumpati Ketile. I'm a software developer at the CSR.
The reason why I wanted to do agriculture was I come from a background where my grandmother is farming, my grandfather is farming, and also in my family, they are all farming. So I just saw that this is a calling I should actually just venture into. My name is Travamure Epie. I'm an agricultural graduate and I specialize in agricultural extension.
I am Mohaun Tibane. I'm a senior assistant officer at the University of the Free State in the Protection Services Department.
What I love most about my job is that it's very challenging. So no 2 days are the same in my role.
My name is Marumu Masemola and I'm a newly qualified chartered accountant.
So the reason I decided to study medicine was actually because of my baby brother. He was 6 years old and he got meningitis. I saw him at the hospital in his little uniform and I knew I never wanted to feel that feeling again. I'm Lakin Sadie Seconds. I'm currently a medical doctor in KZN, Pietermaritzburg.
I'm Maluleke Utlari. I'm currently doing community service pharmacist at Dr. Yusuf Dadu.
I'm in a graduate program in the logistics field. It's just about logistics, movement of equipment and transportation.
I knew I loved people and I knew I wanted to make a difference. I always told my friend, I want to live a meaningful life. My name is Vulela Mkani and I'm a medical doctor by profession.
I am Mutsening Grace Musa. I'm an educator by profession and I'm currently working at Hoërskool Acacia in Pretoria.
I actually didn't know about the Solomon Mahlangu Scholarship Fund until my matric year. So during the holidays, I spent a lot of time on the internet trying to look for scholarships and bursaries that were open. And then I stumbled on the NYDA, or the Solomon Mahlangu Scholarship Fund rather, and I decided to give it a shot.
Are we in a position where we can say, okay, we're fully resourced, but also capacitated enough to then use those resources in a way that actually positively impacts the economy in Africa?
Just to give you a backstory, so I did maths lit because I struggled with mathematics. I still struggle with it till today. So I only qualified for all of 3 scholarships in the whole country, one of them being the Solomon Mahlangu Scholarship Fund. So when I applied for it, I think it was the day before it was actually due. My older sister, who was also a student at UKZN, is the one that told me about it. And we waited. We had faith that hopefully we're going to get the scholarship, and yeah, we got it.
Okay, when I got the notification, I was already at varsity, funny enough. And I think I was at varsity because I had hope. I knew that something will definitely come up because I was not at home. I was actually very happy. I knew that I worked very hard to get the scholarship.
I was thrilled. I was excited. There's no feeling that can be measured to that one.
And I was very happy about it because I knew that I would be able to pay for my studies without any hassles.
Yeah, I remember my sister's exact words because we call each other Didi. So I called her and I said, hey Didi, I got a scholarship. And she was like, hey, you know about Didi, no, go do it, man.
What does Didi mean?
Dangerous Taki.
My parents were relieved when they found out that I am actually funded, because I remember some speculations that I might actually have to drop out, because if you don't have funding, what's the point of going further with the studies, knowing very well that you won't be able to cover your accommodation, tuition and living expenses. So it was a good experience for them also. Not only was I happy, they were also happy.
If I recall the day, my husband and I, we were actually on our way home from work, so we were on the M5, and I got a call from, I think it was Calvin actually, and he said to us, he's got some news for us, and I said, news? Do you mean finally something? And he said yes, Laken has been awarded to be part of the NYDA scholarship for the Solomon Mahlangu. And you know what I actually did? I rolled down the window of the car, I put my head out of the window and I screamed. And he said, are you actually screaming down the road? And I said, yes.
And I think the tears started coming in when my mom was like, this is the best birthday present you could possibly give me, my child. Because what that means is that for us as a family, we don't need to stress about anything other than this degree that I'm here for at UKZN.
Having to receive the message that I got approved for the scholarship, it was between disbelief and gratitude. But most importantly, it was a message of hope to me, because when you think about finances and where I come from particularly, I knew that finances could be a hindrance and I would have to cut out of my dream. But when I got the message, it was hope, it was joy. I remember I called my mother immediately and it was all bliss and I cried.
We continue to have quite a high rate of dropout of young people from the higher education system. Something along the lines of 50% of young people who start a qualification don't end up completing it. Now, that's a loss of investment in young people, but it's a loss of investment to the country as well. Yeah? Now, on the Solomon Mahlangu Scholarship Fund, what we've seen is north of 85% of young people, through the requisite training, support, mentorship, completing their qualifications in the required time frame, which tells us that the model we have is working better and it's working more sustainably.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Mahlangu. We know that this scholarship has done a lot of work to preserve the legacy of Solomon Mahlangu, but also to take it and pay it forward, as he also said on the day he was executed on the 6th of April. Just tell us about what you think some of the key highlights of the scholarship have been since its 10 years of existence.
I think that the Solomon Mahlangu Scholarship Fund has played a critical role in enabling young people, especially those from the poor families, from the rural and underdeveloped local communities. Where we're sitting now, we know that from here in Mamelodi, there are doctors and lawyers who are practicing today who are the beneficiaries of the scholarship. And I think that it's a good legacy.
The Solomon Mahlangu bursary scheme definitely changed my life, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't because of it. Firstly, I wouldn't have been able to pursue my studies, because I don't think my parents were going to be able to take both my twin brother and big brother to the higher education level, because at some point we were all at university.
Yeah, so I'm raised by a single parent who's, she didn't have much, I don't think, also for the accommodation and everything. She wasn't going to afford to pay for such fees. So when I told her the news, I think we as a family, we got relieved by the news, and we're excited for the opportunity that they gave us.
By the way, my dad is a pensioner. So when I went to varsity, we had no plan or whatsoever or funds that were put aside for me to study further. It was so emotional for me to a point where I think I started failing most of my modules because I was constantly under stress. I'm worried about where am I going to get money to settle my fees. I think at one point I was even depressed because it was just a lot at the time. So when I got the news, I was so happy, I was so over the moon. And my dad and I knew there is nothing rather that will come in between me and achieving my goals of being a chartered accountant.
So getting the fund enabled me to be here today, to be at the beginning of my career, where I'm actually also able to help my family.
So I started here in 2016 at the Second Chance program and proceeded to be a recipient of the Solomon Mahlangu Fund. This allowed me the opportunity to go after all the dreams that I ever had. The Solomon Mahlangu Fund affected my life immensely. It is the reason I'm able to be a doctor today, because I didn't come from a financially capable background, that I didn't want to put financial stresses on my family to put me through medicine, because medicine is really expensive and I didn't want to be a burden to them.
Because of Solomon Mahlangu, I am now an educator, not just an educator, but a mathematician. It changed my life for the better.
So, how the scholarship changed my life. In law, there's something that we call factual causation. It's also known as the but-for test. So, how to, just to spin it back into, layman's terms. But for the scholarship fund, I would not be where I am today. It sounds cliche, but I kid you not, I would not be here today because I was able to study for free. Basically, I didn't pay a cent back. There's a saying that goes, you can't function or innovate if you're hungry. You can't function and think if you're stressing about other things. And I was privileged to not be in that situation.
If we reflect on the hopes and the aspirations of beneficiaries, I think there's two in particular that we'd like to point out. Is to say, of course we know South Africa is not a perfect country to live in, right? There are many challenges, and I think the one is about how we pay it forward, each of us, So how do we get young people more involved, when I've made it, how do I take someone else with me, right? And really cultivating that sense of service in our beneficiaries, I think is something that's very important to us, right? when South Africa has invested in you from a basic education perspective, from a higher education perspective, whether you worked on an internship that was subsidized by the government, whether you come from a household that had social assistance, how do you continue to contribute meaningfully to this country's development, even if you live in the UK or the US? And I think for us, that's another critical piece that we really want to be able to inculcate in our beneficiaries. Have a global outlook, but don't forget about where you came from.
And for the beneficiaries of this important fund, what are the lessons that they could learn, in particular when looking at the values that Solomon Kalushi Mahlangu espoused? Because they have an important responsibility as well to pay it forward and to live out his values.
The beneficiaries of the Solomon Kalushi Mahlangu Scholarship Fund, firstly, is that they should be inspired by the character of Mahlangu, which is to love your people, you love your country, you believe in building your country, you become patriotic. So they should believe that in supporting and be the champion of the nation building agenda of our country.
Ngingathanda ukugqugquzela labantwana esebebhenefitile ukuthi bangayeki, imfundo ayipheli into yokuqala. Nabo ke uma kukhona indlela ebebangaba nayo, bancede nalezi zingane ezisezayo ukuthi nazo zikwazi ukuzuza kulento ebazuze kiyo bona. Ingabi indaba yamuntu munye o idlanzana labantu. Yendlaleke nje iningizimu Afrika yonke education.
Had it not been for the Solomon Mahlangu Scholarship Fund, I don't think I would be able to change the status quo at home. So I am currently now providing funding for some of my cousins at home. So it doesn't end with me. It has started with me, but now there will be a generation of people that will continue to further their studies, go to school, and be able to do well for themselves as well.
Healing patients, it's so therapeutic. Going at night, knowing that you've made a difference. And that difference has not just made that person well, but the whole family, the whole society well. It's beyond words.
What I like about my job is to help the patients, especially working at the government. You do realize that there are a lot of patients who cannot afford the medication. So doing this, usually it brings joy to my heart.
Laken is actually in our family, she's the first doctor that we have in our entire family. You know, it overwhelms me because she's done it, you know, and that does everything. The fact that she's achieved it tells me that anything is possible. And in all of this, she's not only going to help herself, she's going to help the communities, the people that come into the hospital, any young person that maybe has a struggle, you know, she would be able to say, if I did it, so can you.
I just want everyone to know who's in here that I hope that you choose to go after everything God has for you. I hope you choose to allow your light to shine. I hope you choose to actually take hold of every single opportunity that you've been given. Because I promise you, one day you can stand on a stage just like I can. So thank you.
My message to young people who want to see themselves somewhere, someday, you have to first see yourself there. And everything else, the passion, the determination that it requires, it starts from the dream that you have.
The sky is not the limit. It's bigger than that. I'm a firm believer of if you think something, there's a reason why that seed was planted in you.
There's a lot of opportunities that are awaiting them for them to just come and grab them. But there's some action that they need to put in, because a dream, Jay, without action, it's just a dream.
For me personally, perseverance is very important because you never know when the door might open.
What I can say is that as a person, you shouldn't focus on what is happening out there, but rather focus on what you can control. And what you can control is going to school, studying, and chasing your dreams.
There is a song that says, if you want to be somebody and if you want to go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention. Wake up
Education is very important, especially in the times that we are living in.
I could aim this to parents out there, relatives out there. Please support your kids. You might not understand what they're trying to convey to you, but just take a leap of faith and just support the idea or whatever they decided to do.
Okay, I'd like to encourage girls to actually penetrate these industries that we feel like are male dominated, and people are starting to see that we are also capable of doing whatever that other men are doing in the industry.
Okay, my message of gratitude to the NYDA and the Solomon Mahlangu Scholarship Fund is that I am grateful for the opportunity that they gave me for funding my studies.
In Zulu, we say kwande la nthathe khona.
To NYDA, all I can say is that I'm grateful for the opportunity that they have given me.
I'm beyond words to the NYDA to assist me to be what I am today. I just like to thank the NYDA itself, the scholarship, and most importantly, the Solomon Mahlangu family for giving us a hero. And today I had to benefit from his toil and everything of that sort.
Phambili nge phambili with the NYDA, pele ya pele, ke tshepa hore ha se nna fela le tla etsang dintho tse tjena ho nna, ke tshepa hore ba tla tswela pele ba etsang